After all this time asking for basically a new grade 3 for the boss units of OverDress and WillDress, we're finally getting some of them in Divine's Deluxe. So today I want to give out the top 5 OverDress, WillDress boss units that do not have a new alternate grade 3 form yet that I want to actually see. And I basically mean replacing the old grade 3 from the Ride deck basically. But on that, let's begin. And yes, some of these will be paired up once again, just because they have very similar reasons or they're released around the same time. So on number 5 on my list, it's going to be a pair, which is Drajulda and Leonord. Youthberg got a new form, so it's just kind of strange that Drajulda and Leonord are not going to get a new form just yet for a grade 3. Although to be fair, these two have been masked while Youthberg hasn't, but that's besides the point. The point is that the characters are returning, but more so Michiru, because he came back out of his coma, and now he is going to be using Drajulda Ignis, but I would like another grade 3 to represent that, while Leonord can basically get a new grade 3 to represent her new self, even though Unison Dress kind of represents that. But I feel like these two should be paired up together on the list just because it goes with the Youthberg. And number 4 on my list, it's going to be two that haven't been shown in anime, and it's Flagberg and Kairi. These two units were introduced from OverDress and still no new grade 3. Even though Flagberg has been gained support and his other companions getting new grade 3s, Flagberg still hasn't gotten a new grade 3 yet. And same with Kairi, which is basically the original lyrical unit. It has a grade 4 but no new grade 3. Right now Magnolia gets a new grade 3, and that one was one of the original Stokea units. So it's just seeing updated boss units for these is just pretty nice. And then number 3, it is Greedon. Now the only reason why Greedon is number 3, it's because Greedon does have Mask, which is actually very consistent. And Mask itself is still pretty decent itself. And it's still technically one of those good Mask decks in comparison to the next one on the list. So Greedon in a way doesn't exactly need a new grade 3, but it would be nice that we get a new grade 3 for the Ride deck just to basically update the old one, even though the whole entire Ride line will have to completely change due to the fact that it revolves around the original and a lot of the support revolves around the original. But other than Mask, Greedon has not got a new form. And then to number 2 on the list, it's Norlinger, one of the strongest units in release, and later on just gets overpowered. And it's still getting quite a lot of support even though that it has not got a new form besides the Mask, which is actually very terrible. Although the new support did help Mask a bit, it isn't still great. Norlinger kind of needs a new grade 3 of herself, or basically just evolve the old one that is not Mask. And being another Daybreak character and one that stands alongside Mirai, she definitely should probably have a new grade 3 as basically a new resolve of her choice to stand with Mirai instead of going with Mask. Especially just like the other ones getting new grade 3s, there was a bit of built up support to the grade 3, so I really think Norlinger should also get one. And now before I go to number 1, honorable mentions. So first off, I don't entirely want to count this one, but at the same time I kind of do, because it's Jiva. Jiva being the boss unit for the Cross OverDress deck, which is an evolution of OverDress. But they don't go with the same deck, so I kind of want to include Jiva here, because out of all the WillDress boss units, Jiva itself did not get a new form. In fact, it was the Verena that actually got the new form rather than Jiva. So in a way, this one does count, but I don't want to completely include it since technically it is a second grade 3 of a previous existing one. But it would be awesome if they decide to combine both combinations of OverDress together as one. And then we got Omna Gruzio. This deck is definitely meant to be masked when it first came out, so that's why it's an honorable mentions, but I would like to see the type of deck it would have been if it wasn't mask. Because the main grade 3 itself is linked to Mask, so I just kind of find it funny that they literally just link it to Mask on release. But now since Mask season is over and the character probably changed up a bit, it would be nice to see her play Omna Gruzio without the Mask. But because it's meant to be a Mask deck on release, it's why it's honorable mention. And then finally, it's going to be Granfia, just because of the recent plant token support. If it's not plant tokens for Roroa, it's definitely for Granfia. Which Granfia itself was only used one time in the anime and never used again. But compared to some of the other cards that have been released with Granfia, they did get new forms. Granfia out of the 3 did not get a new form. But considering that this one's kind of newer, I kind of just let this one slide since it is still pretty decent. And now to number 1 on the list, it's the original Brandgate Ride line. It is Seraph Snow. She had an evolved form of Seraph Pyrrolite, and ever since then, no new forms. It's just random ass support. Some support is pretty good, but Seraph is one of those decks that kind of need a huge update, especially on the main grade 3. I mean, yes, Pyrrolite itself is still pretty good, especially if you could reach the 10 and then go crit current pressure throughout the front row with now re-standing rear guards, but having a new grade 3 to start off with would actually be pretty nice, especially since she is one of the original ride lines for the respective nation, and all her other team members also got their new grade 3s already, especially now Megumin recently getting the new Magnolia. So it would be nice if they finally made her with a new grade 3 as well, alongside Kairi, but Kairi wasn't shown in the anime, which is why it's not paired up with this one. Hence why this is on my number 1, because it is the original Brand Gate ride line. So that's it on my list on new grade 3s I want to see that don't have it yet, and I mean ones for the ride deck and not straight up evolutions, because recently we've been getting a lot of those, especially for the ones that were gain support and are kind of slowly building up to a new grade 3, especially now since this is a good opportunity to show up the new grade 3s because the legacy characters are actually shown in Divines. But in that, go ahead and tell me your list down below and what other units would I have missed. Some of them I didn't really include because they were quite new still, and in a way still pretty decent, so I didn't really include them, but can agree with a new form of a grade 3 that is not for an evolution. But in that, that's it for this, and see you all next time.